So we're going to dive into plantar fasciosis and a big cause of it that I don't think is talked about nearly as much as it deserves. So there's a big root cause of plantar fascia issues, plantar fasciosis, I like to call it, because it's a degeneration of the plantar fascia, and typically it's pretty close to where it inserts into the heel bone. Let's dive in. When we talk about plantar fasciopathy and plantar fasciosis, it tends not to be an itis, there tends not to be a lot of inflammation here, it tends to be a degeneration of the plantar fascia. Now, we tend to see it really close to this heel. Sometimes it's like right here or it's a little bit farther out. We tend not to have plantar fasciosis here. It can be. This tends to be more of that could be a post-tib issue, could be an arch issue, but when we tend to have this plantar fasciosis, fasciopathy right in this area, it's right where it inserts into the heel bone. It's really close to that area. Now, we know from the research that it's a muscle called the flexor digitorum brevis. The muscle, I'll show you guys here, that actually presses these four toes into the ground. A muscle that really is a massive arch stabilizer and supporter. This muscle inserts to a very similar spot. And if this flexor digitorum brevis muscle, or intrinsic foot muscle, if this is not doing its job, the plantar fascia gets excessive stress and strain on it. And they've actually showed that a lot of times with plantar fascia issues, you'll have a little bit of a bone spur here. It's a tension bone spur. So that plantar fascia, if this flexor digitorum muscle, if our intrinsic foot muscle is not doing its job, the plantar fascia will pull on it. It'll pull on it. It'll pull on it. That can also be from that muscle as well. Both will pull on it, and your body says, "Man, there's all this excessive tensile loading. We need to lay some bone down." And the cool thing is, well, once you get flexor digitorum brevis to do its job, that extra pulling on the plantar fascia goes away. And you might have that bone spur, but it's not really actually painful. So a lot of times, plantar fascia is accompanied by this bone spur. And if you have a bone spur, if we actually just activate your foot muscles, that excessive pulling on the bone spur will actually go away, and we tend not to even feel it anymore. So you might, sometimes people get surgeries to take that bone spur out, and it typically it's not even needed, because all we got to do is strengthen our foot, and A, the plantar fascia goes away, and B, that bone spur, it might not go away, but we're not going to pull on it. We're not going to cause that excessive pulling of the plantar fascia on it, because guess what? That flexor digitorum brevis muscle, our intrinsic foot muscle, is doing its job, and that excessive strain and pulling, stretching of the plantar fascia, it's not as much. So really, if we can get our foot active, it tends to solve plantar fascia issues, and here's how we can do that. One of my favorite ways to start to work on this is it's called a toe spread. So what I love to do is bring all of my toes up. I will spread them out. I'll press them back down into the ground. Up. So all toes up, spread. So big toe, pinky toe, everything spreads, and then press them straight down to the ground. A great way just to get every single intrinsic foot muscle. It's going to get most of them, if not all of them, active. You guys see with mine, I have a lot of, my pinky toe is actually angled in. I got a little bit of it's called a Taylor's bunion, where instead of my big toe being angled in, it's my pinky toe. So I'm doing a lot of work to make sure I get a lot of stability on my outside of my foot here. This is a great way to work on this too. All toes up, spread up, and then down, and you're trying to really just press them into the ground. Again, up, spread, press them down into the ground, up, spread, press them down into the ground. Second thing we can do is this. Let's start to strengthen things. Let's start to work our feet out actively, start to strengthen them. What I love to do is first toe yoga, where don't let your foot rotate from side to side. Keep your foot flat. Big toe down, four toes up. I have some problems with these. If I come off, it's a lot easier for me to raise my toes up. But if I keep that outside ball of the foot down, keep equal pressure here, it's a little bit harder for me to raise these guys up in the air. No problem here. Again, you don't want to twist off. Don't let that ball of the foot come off the ground. 2 sets of 10, slow and controlled. Love doing these. And then what I love to finish with is a big toe press down into a short foot. Now what this looks like is, from the side, if you look at my arch here, I'm going to press my big toe into the ground. Eventually, I add all of them on, but I love starting with the big toe. It's an important one to work. Press my big toe down. Again, don't let any of this ball of the foot rise off. Big toe down. And I want you to actively focus on, actively think about, I'm shortening this distance. I'm trying to contract my entire arch, which is going to get flexor digitorum brevis, the most important one. I'm trying to contract everything and close this distance. Now relax. First thing you do is press the big toe down, and then you contract everything inside of here. 1, 2, 3. Take a break. If you're like, Matt, I feel this, we call it the tendon sign. Don't let that tendon pop up. Keep it relaxed. You don't want this tendon helping us. Sometimes this can help. I'm okay with that a little bit, but I don't want that to happen. Also, you can do this, and this will do all the work. I don't want that to happen either. I want you to think this has to press down, and I want the arch to help us bring this foot up. This is a trampoline. The post tib, this is important. We need this, but we have to have our intrinsic foot muscles doing their job. This post tib, it's a massive arch supporter. It's actually the tendon actually inserts. Part of the tendon attaches to an intrinsic foot muscle that presses our big toe down. So, excuse me, the flexor hallucis, or not that one. The flexor hallucis longus. There's a long muscle here that also presses the toe down. They're actually connected. The long muscle here and the short muscle here in the foot. So when you press the big toe down, you're going to get both. That's fine. I just don't want this doing all of the work to raise the arch up because I want these guys to be active. 3 out of 10, you should be feeling this guy really, really engaging. If we could just wear more minimal style shoes, research has shown that just walking around in barefoot style shoes, right? Flexible shoes, I can twist this. There's not a whole lot of foam. We call it stack height. It's 0 drop. It's flat. There's no heel lift. Being in a shoe like this, just walking around has been shown to improve the size and the strength of multiple arch muscles. The flexor hallucis brevis, the flexor digitorum brevis, it's been shown to improve the activation of these muscles. So if we start to improve and start to strengthen and activate our foot muscles, that's a great thing. If we walk around in barefoot shoes and walk around barefoot, that's a great thing. If we combine these things together, man, that's a recipe for having foot health, and things like plantar fasciopathy, plantar fasciitis, and plantar fasciosis can be things of the past. We can really reduce the risk of getting it, but if you have one, really solve it, right? And there's a lot of other things we can do in the calf and the hip that can help with plantar fasciitis, really just plantar fascia issues. But if we can start to wear more minimal shoes and also start to just improve strength and activation to our foot, man, this is again a recipe for having a strong and healthy foot. Now, I will preface this. There's only one problem with barefoot shoes. Sometimes, even just having this on, right, we're not walking technically barefoot, right? We're barefoot and we're on grass, we're on gravel, we're on rocks. We're gonna be able to feel all those different sensations in our foot. And if we were barefoot, we'd have a lot of calluses on our feet that would protect us. Most of us don't have those calluses, and that's fine. But the only problem with this is we might have a dulled sensation to our arch. We can solve this by using what's called a barefoot science insole. Now, this is not an orthotic, but it uses the science of orthotics and gets really just the benefit of them and transfers it to something that's not trying to force you in any position, but you get all the benefit of what orthotics do. Now, this is a fact from the research. Most orthotics, all of them work as long as they have something on your arch, right? This arch support, this doesn't have any arch support on it. But we know when your arch feels the sensation, it gives your brain feedback, and it's going to want to lift your arch up. Which is great. We want that. Well, if we know that's what's happening, why not just lean into this? And that's what these barefoot science insoles do. I think this is level 6. There's levels 1 through 7. These go in and out. You start at level 1. Over time, you adapt. Every step I take, I feel this. My arch feels it. And guess what? Every intrinsic foot muscle, it contracts. It wants to lift my arch off the ground. And as you get better at this, I think I've been wearing these for 2 months. I'm at level, maybe 3 months. I'm at level 6 now. And I clearly feel a difference. I don't have to wear this. I like wearing it because I like having a reminder of, hey, I need to press I need to have some foot activation and create an arch when I'm walking. Huge fan of these. Check the link in the description below. You can get a discount code to get these. I'm a huge fan of these. I use them myself. I have it. They're in my zeros right now. Again, the only issue with minimal style shoes, you might still have a little bit of a dulling effect. You're not going to get as much. If you're walking barefoot, that's the best. But I love putting these in these shoes because shoes, they do block some feedback to your brain. And, I don't want to walk on something hard and not have my feet be able to handle it. I get that. This solves that problem of every step we take, we get that feedback back to our brain.